We're going to start off today with the spinning rod, guys, and the spinning rod is the most popular tackle in the entire country. We need to start with a little bit of lingo here so that we can communicate clearly. So first of all, the reel foot. This is the reel foot. The part that comes from the body of the reel and goes to the rod is the reel foot. That's going to be very important. This is the reel handle. That's going to be important. This is the spool lip, right on the tip of the spool. That is going to be important as well. When it comes to the rod, this is my reel seat and grip, going to be important. This is my split grip. And then this is the blank itself and the stripper guide. All of those are going to be very important. So keep those things in mind, guys, and throughout this whole conversation. That's going to help you out a bunch. Now, let's say you play golf, or maybe you play baseball, or maybe you play tennis. You can't generate any kind of accuracy in any of those sports, and certainly any kind of power with one hand on the rod. So I'm a giant advocate of two-handed casting, if at all possible. In almost every scenario, two-handed casting is going to make you more accurate and more control. No question about that. And there's a reason that Abu Garcia puts even grips on the bottom right here so that it fits your hand, because they're expecting you're going to use two hands as well. The two-handed cast is going to give you a lot more control. If I have one hand, now I have a gimbal or a ball mount that bends every which way right here, and I can do anything. But if I have two hands, now I've got much more control of this rod. No matter how you look at it, the two-handed is going to help you out a whole bunch by having control of this fishing rod, and that's really important. So the only time you're ever going to see me one-handed casting is on an underhand cast, which we'll show you here shortly. The rest of the time, I'm always using two hands on the rod. It doesn't matter if I'm casting 30 feet or 300 feet, I'm still using two hands, and that's because of control more than anything else. Yes, it lets me generate power. There's no question it lets me generate power because I can have a fulcrum point right here. And there's a famous saying that if you give me a fulcrum and a long enough lever, I can move the world. Well, if I've got a fulcrum here and a lever here and a grip here, I can generate all the speed I need by pulling with this hand against this hand. So doing this as opposed to this. I'm not doing this. That's what 7-year-olds do. We're doing this with all in one rod and in your forearms right here. That's all it's going to control the whole thing. So really important, okay? That's going to be key, and we'll continue through that theme the whole time we're doing the casting. The other thing that's really important is we take this reel foot. This is the end of the rod that's important, right? This is the end that the lure's on, the fish is on, all that. That's important. This end of the rod is not so important. So which end do I need to control? I need to control that end. So if I want to control that end, do I want one finger in front and 3 fingers back here? Probably not. The reason is I'm going to also have to control this line. So what I'm an advocate of is 3 fingers in front of the reel foot. So I have like only my pinky is behind the spinning reel at all. The other 3 fingers are in front. And what that does, if you look at it from the other side, is that gives me these 3 fingers to control the important end of the blank. That's really important because I also need this finger, my pointer finger, to control my line, which leaves these 2 fingers to control the rod. So it gives me a really good all-around scenario by having 3 fingers in front to control everything I really need to control, yet have 1 finger behind to make sure I still have a handle on the overall spinning rod, okay? So that's important, and we'll continue that theme through all of our casting as well. Another key part of the grip is the grip itself, or the power in which you grip a fishing rod. There's really never a scenario where I need a tight grip on this fishing rod. All that does is dampen the action of the fishing rod. So you walked into Sportsman's Warehouse, you plunked down your money, you gave one a wiggle. Yeah, that one feels real sensitive. You're taking it home. You squeeze it like this, it's not going to be very sensitive. The lighter you let it hang in your hand, the better off you are. And if you look at this one, it's almost perfect balance. It's got a lure hanging ahead of it, which is slightly weighting it. That's almost a perfectly balanced fishing rod right there. So the last thing I need to do is death grip this rod. What I want is that tip to be very lively and very responsive. That allows me to feel the difference between my jig dragging into the rocks and getting snagged and my jig getting picked up by a bass that's very gently just sitting there holding it. By allowing the rod to be responsive in my hand, very important. So my 3-finger grip, I just barely hold on to the rod. The rod's very light in my hand. hand all the time. And again, it'll allow it to be responsive, it'll give you sensitivity, and it's also a lot less fatiguing over a day's fishing.